Although Team USA failed to win a medal in this year's FIBA World Cup, I don't really think we should be that surprised at all, because in the past 6 editions of the FIBA World Cup, beginning in the year 2000, USA has only won the gold medal twice, and that was in 2010 and 2014. Well, sure, it's easy to point to the simple explanation that the Americans simply failed to assemble their best players for the World Cup, as NBA superstars tend to shift their focus instead to the Olympics, which is definitely true, but I think the bigger problem here really for Team USA is continuity. Looking at it, in this year's World Cup, Germany, who won the gold medal, had a total of 9 players returning from their bronze medal winning team in last year's Eurobasket, while Team USA had a total of 0 players returning from their gold medal winning team in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Well, obviously, other countries will always mostly have an advantage over the US in terms of continuity, so if the Americans are to win gold in Paris next year, they'd have to do it on the basis of supreme talent, which shouldn't be a problem, right? But the thing is, in reality, even if we look into a hypothetical scenario wherein all of the most talented American basketball stars are healthy and available to play, talent is only one part of the equation, as the bigger question still lies on how USA Basketball could build a sensibly constructed 12-man roster. Well, obviously, USA Basketball Managing Director Grant Hill will answer that question in due time, but in this video, I'll try to put together my own ideal 12-man Team USA roster for next year's Olympics, but based on a couple of guidelines. First, I'll try to pick the best team as a whole and not necessarily just pick the best players. And second, I'll try to strike a balance between experienced veterans and younger players who can be cornerstones of USA Basketball's future. So with that out of the way, let's get to it. When putting together the ideal Team USA roster, it's essential to first look into the biggest issues that plague the Americans in this year's FIBA World Cup, and the first of those underlying issues was definitely Team USA's inability to get defensive stops against bigger teams, as well as with teams that had substantial NBA talent, as we've seen in their 3 losses against Lithuania, Germany, and Canada. Looking into the numbers, during the 5 games they won in the World Cup, the USA limited opponents to 82.3 points per 100 possessions, but in their 3 losses, that ballooned to more than 136 points per 100. Rebounding has also been a problem, as during their 5 wins, Team USA rebounded 75% of their opponents' missed shots, but during their 3 losses, that number fell to just 62%. These numbers all point to the second problem, which is Team USA's lack of functional size on the roster, and when trying to address all those issues, a huge part of this definitely starts with finding a reliable starting big man who can consistently function around the paint on both ends of the floor. Well, obviously, Anthony Davis is the favorite to land Team USA starting center position, but the thing is, AD often gets hurt. He's only appeared in about half of the games he should have played over the past 3 NBA seasons. But also, even if availability wasn't a concern for him here, I think for the starting center position, I'd still rather pick the best center in the NBA right now outside of Nikola Jokic, and that is the reigning MVP Joel Embiid. While each country is allowed to bring one naturalized player in international competitions, and Embiid is actually a naturalized American citizen, there's also a precedent for Team USA relying on a naturalized big man before, as Hakeem Olajuwon played for the US back in the 1996 Olympics. But the problem is that Embiid is also a naturalized citizen of France, and we have to remember that France already has Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama. If Embiid joins that team as well, it's just going to be hard to imagine the US containing the French frontcourt. But if Grant Hill somehow convinces Joel Embiid to suit up for Team USA, then the frontcourt battle in the Olympics suddenly becomes a whole lot more even. Well, with Joel Embiid at the starting center position, the USA will have someone who can consistently guard bigs like Nikola Jokic and Jonas Valanciunas in the paint. Plus, Embiid is also capable of being a shot-blocking deterrent against driving players like Dennis Schroeder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. In addition, post-play and shooting are 2 things that still reign supreme in international basketball competitions, and with Joel Embiid on the roster, USA will already have one of the best post-up bigs in the world. But what's even crazier is that they could also land the best shooter in basketball, which is obviously Steph Curry. And if Curry suits up for Team USA, he'll definitely be the no-brainer choice to become the team's starting point guard. Well, sure, at 6'2", Curry's going to be on the small side for a switch-heavy defense, but still, the threat of his elite shooting, especially from the shorter FIBA three-point line, makes him a much more valuable weapon for the Americans. Well, as a combination, Joel Embiid and Steph Curry already make Team USA virtually unguardable, and so filling out the rest of the starting lineup should be much easier. Well, first, at the starting shooting guard spot, I'd definitely choose Devin Booker if he's available. Booker already played an important role for Team USA when they won gold in Tokyo, and he should continue to do that in Paris with his volume shooting, shot creation, and ability to play off the ball. Plus, Booker is still one of the most underrated one-on-one guard defenders in the NBA today. He actually had the best defensive rating among all shooting guards during the 2022 season, and in the Phoenix Suns playoff series against the Clippers this year, Booker also actually averaged 2.6 steals and 1 block per game. At 6'5", Booker should be a reliable perimeter stopper here for Team USA starting lineup. So now, moving on to the two starting forward positions, one definitely has to go to LeBron James if he's actually healthy. LeBron's already been part of 2 Olympic gold medal winning teams in the past, and despite his age, he's still one of the best players in the world today. In this Team USA starting lineup, because of his elite playmaking chops, I see LeBron being the primary ball handler, playing a point forward type of role, which should just allow the off-ball scoring talents of Steph Curry and Devin Booker to shine even more. Then moving on to the final forward spot, it's another no-brainer choice here, as this definitely goes to Kevin Durant. Despite him being already 34, Durant is still the greatest scoring weapon that the American basketball system has ever produced, and with his size and length, KD should also give this USA starting lineup an additional boost on the defensive end. Now obviously, this starting lineup I've put together won't have any problem getting a lot of buckets, but another element that this group obviously brings is size. In Manila, Team USA only had one guy above 6'6" in their starting lineup, and that was Jaren Jackson Jr. That was a huge contributor to the Americans struggling to get rebounds. But that shouldn't be a problem with my potential Team USA first 5. Joel Embiid is a walking double-double, Durant was the second best rebounder for Team USA in the 2021 Olympics, while LeBron is also one of only 11 American players to average at least 8 rebounds per game in the NBA last season. So now let's move on to the bench unit, starting with a backup big man. And I think it's reasonable for us to pick at least 2 guys who can play backup to Joel Embiid. Well, sure, bringing back Jaren Jackson Jr. could be an option here, but I think his rebounding struggles and inability to avoid fouling doesn't make him a favorable choice. On the other hand, Draymond Green would also be okay as a backup big man, especially for the small ball schemes that Steve Kerr loves to run. But I think if we're gonna pick someone to play that role, I'd rather just bring back the guy who's already proven that he can win a gold medal while banging bodies in the paint and rebounding the ball as a small ball center, and that is Bam Adebayo, who should currently be a more potent backup big man option than either Paolo Banchero or Bobby Portis. Then moving on to the role of third string big man, I think I'd definitely choose a younger player here because like I said earlier, we want to build a team with a balance of youth and experience in every position. Well, for this spot, 7-foot Evan Mobley would definitely be a good choice because of his overall size and defensive versatility. But I think just because I would like to add someone who could bring a more versatile two-way skill set to complement Embiid and Adebayo, I think I would have to go with 7'1" Chet Holmgren as Team USA's third big man. Well, just like Evan Mobley, Holmgren still has some strength concerns, but aside from his already elite defense, Chet already brings some floor spacing and 3-level shot-making ability that Mobley hasn't developed yet. So if Chet's rookie season goes as planned with the OKC Thunder, I definitely want him to land Team USA's third-string big man role, which should also prepare him to potentially become the USA center of the future. So now let's move on to the backup guard positions. While obviously, guys like De'Aaron Fox and Damian Lillard would be popular choices here, but again, I'd rather go with younger players just to promote continuity for the future. So for the backup point guard spot, I think I'd have to go with a guard who really excelled for Team USA this year, and that is Tyrese Haliburton. Well, Jalen Brunson played solid, but Haliburton just offers so much more. Aside from his top-tier playmaking, at 6'5", Haliburton also brings the ability to guard multiple positions as well as the ability to be a consistent off-the-ball shooting threat. Then moving on to the backup shooting guard spot, I definitely need to have Anthony Edwards back here. Edwards could very well be the future of Team USA with his superstar qualities, but for now, with guys like Booker, LeBron, and KD in the starting lineup, Edwards would have to settle for a bench role while providing some scoring boost for the second unit. Now let's move on to the backup forward positions, and one spot should definitely belong to Jayson Tatum. Well, honestly, Tatum probably deserves to start for Team USA as the only American to make the All-NBA first team last season. season, but it's just hard to imagine him starting over a healthy KD or LeBron next year simply because of experience. But either way, Tatum was Team USA's second best scorer at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics despite him coming off the bench, and asking him to do the same in Paris will just definitely give the Americans a massive advantage over other teams' second units. Then for the other backup forward spot, I think we have to bring back Mikal Bridges. Well, it's really fascinating how Bridges shot more than 70% on two-pointers and 55% on three-pointers in the FIBA World Cup, despite him routinely defending opposing teams' lead ball handlers. Once again, Bridges will be a defensive stopper for Team USA in Paris, but also, just imagine how much more efficient he can be once you lessen his workload by asking him to come off the bench. So at this point, we've already got 2 backup bigs, 2 backup guards, and 2 backup forwards. There's just one more spot left in the team, and I think I'd use this to add some more defensive versatility. Well, we already got a defensive stopper in Mikal Bridges, but why not also add arguably the best American perimeter defender in the NBA right now in Jrue Holiday? Well, not only is Holiday elite in terms of defending multiple perimeter positions, but also during the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, Holiday led the US in assists while also ranking 3rd in scoring for the team. Well, sure, Holiday will be 34 years old next year, and definitely there are other younger options that could play a similar role like Marcus Smart, Derek White, or even Alex Caruso. But I think Holiday's overall experience, defensive versatility, ball handling, and shot making just gives him the edge here to earn my final roster spot. Well, obviously, this is just my own hypothetical 12-man Team USA roster, and while it might not look exactly like the Avengers, I think it doesn't have to look that way either, because at the end of the day, a lot of things could still happen during the upcoming NBA season, and in reality, some players who are expected to play in Paris next year could get hurt or could just simply feel too tired to compete. But regardless of player availability, the US will always have an overload of talent left on the table, and if they get to assemble the right type of team based on logical roster fit, I think there's no reason for the Americans to not be considered the favorites to win gold in next year's Olympics. So thank you guys if you've actually made it this far into the video, but if you were to decide who would be your ideal first 5 for Team USA in next year's Olympics, feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.